Let's bring in Mike Huckabee now, Fox News contributor, author of a brand new book. It's excellent. It's called Rare, Medium, or Done Well. Governor, there's a lot going on today. The president's under pressure to not sign this bill from the Freedom Caucus that would extend spending, avoid a government shutdown until February. Where do you stand?
Well, first of all, I just want to say if Ducey shows up at my house at 6 o'clock in the morning, he better bring some groceries and a gift. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah. Might get a Cuisinart.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm troubled by what's going on. I feel like the Republicans have caved in again, and I'm so grateful that you've got the Freedom Caucus members who are reminding the president, their fellow Republicans, and America that they won because of the border wall, and they lost because it didn't get done. Now, they need to be looking ahead and realize that if you capitulate on this, because Americans, not just Republicans, but Americans overall, except the most liberal Democrats, believe we ought to secure the border. And they believe that we ought to fund the wall. I mean, we just sent $2.8 billion down to Mexico and Central America to help them in development. Now, I'm not against that, but I'm against doing that and saying we don't have enough money for the $5 billion that the president has asked for. I think the president should dig in his heels. I'm a little disappointed that there's been sort of a mixed message going on. And I think it's time to tell Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, look, here's the deal. We'll give you DACA, but you're going to give us the wall. And if you don't, the government shuts down. Well, and it's just going to be, tough rocks for everybody.
Sure. And, Governor, as you know, it's not the whole government that would shut down, roughly about 25%. Yeah. We did a segment a moment ago. Exactly. Most of the federal government is funded into 2019. So is your advice to the president, veto this stopgap measure, stop the spending week to week, and finally fund the wall?
Well, that would be my suggestion, but I think he should have made that very, very clear to Mitch McConnell and to Paul Ryan leading into this week, because for whatever reason, they tend to think that they're on the right side of this by surrendering to the Democrats. These votes that we have, the majority in the House and Senate, are about to disappear. Mm-hmm. We'll have the Senate, but we will not have the House. And I guarantee you Nancy Pelosi will never schedule that vote on the calendar of the House. It's just not going to happen. So this was our chance, and we've blown it. And unless the president were to veto it, and you're right about the shutdown, they're going to make a lot of fears. Oh, everything's going to, Medicare checks won't go out and Social Security checks. And that's not true. The military is fully funded through all of 2019. So the big things, the things that really matter to most Americans day by day, will be funded. Mm-hmm. But I just think the president's got to look in the mirror and remind himself he ran from the time he came down that escalator on the idea we're going to secure the border.
Governor, it wasn't just McConnell that he didn't make it clear to. He just last week was talking about how he wasn't afraid of a shutdown. This is his signature issue. This is what arguably he won on. He's been talking about it, and if they don't do it now, what are they going to wait for? So I don't understand how he survives this personally for his own legacy. People are going to say, this was your key issue. This is what you promised most of all throughout the campaign trail. And they know that some Republicans are going to cave. Republicans have been caving on this issue for years. They elected this guy to do, in particular, this job. So I don't understand what happened here. Do you have any insight as to what happened between last week and this week to make him change course so heavily?
Jedediah, I wish I could tell you that I understood it and agreed with it, but I don't understand it and I don't agree with it. I feel like that the president showed such spine when it came to Brett Kavanaugh, and he gave the Republicans in the Senate the courage to stand firm. And as a result, we won. But when it comes to this, for some reason, and I don't get it, it seems like that when we really get down to the lick log, as we say down south, we always cave in and let the Democrats have what they want, and we get nothing. We get a lump of coal, and they get a whole bunch of packages under the tree, and it makes no sense to me.
A year ago, the president says, this is the last time I'm signing a bill like this, but in order to fund defense, I had to give in on some spending and take less for border security. This year, there's no excuse, but I was wondering, the Freedom Caucus got up and suddenly found their voice yesterday. Where were they the minute after that Oval Office confrontation? Where were other people rallying to his side, like Lindsey Graham did during Brett Kavanaugh? The president couldn't have gotten Kavanaugh across the finish line without staunch Republican support. He didn't get into the 11th hour last night.
Well, and I will say this, I think the Freedom Caucus has been consistent on this throughout. I don't think they've ever lost their voice. But boy, last night I saw some of the speeches on the House floor, and they were very clear in reminding all Republicans, this is what we ran on. This is what we promised. And I think the key here is it was a promise. It wasn't just a suggestion that, hey, you know, if we can get around to it, if we can find a way, we might do something about the border. It was a promise. Promise kept is a good reelection. Promise not kept is a really tough thing to get reelected with.
And Governor, the big battle on Capitol Hill right there. But let's go to China, where there's another big battle playing out, one with real long-term consequences. They're cracking down on Christians again. And I wonder, you're someone who's spoken out on this. Are we facing kind of a whole new era now of religious persecution?
I don't know that it's a whole new era. It's simply the continuation of one that's been there all along. Christians have never had freedom in China. I think so many people, especially on the left, are all worried about Russia. And look, I'm not saying they're good guys, because they're not. Let's be very clear. But they don't pose near the threat to freedom, and especially to religious freedom, that China does. And I'm really happy the president has been tough with China on trade, because we need to be tough with China on human rights. Their policies of everything from religious repression to forced abortion makes them really a very dangerous nation for freedom all across the world. And they've gotten away with it. Nobody wanted to mess with them because too many people were making a lot of money off China, and we've sold our soul in order to make money off cheap things coming from China. And it's time we stand up to them and say, you know, you can't just go brutalize people because they somehow have faith in God, or because they don't believe that you ought to force people into having an abortion.
Yeah, it's just human rights have taken a backseat to trade. I think it's get the trade deal first and then focus on domestic issues. I think we've kind of backed off that of late. It's hard to know what really goes on there. Governor Huckabee, thanks so much. Have a great Christmas if I don't see you again.
Merry Christmas.
Yep. Yule logs to lick logs.
Merry Christmas to all of you.